Hello everyone and welcome back to a best-of-3 series of professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Zerg versus Terran, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Berlingrad. Now spawning here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red Zerg drones from Finland, we have the man who many consider to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time. Of course that means we have none other than Serral. I guess he will have a chance at the World Championships coming up very soon to determine if he is actually the GOAT, right? A lot of people are either considering Serral or Maru to be the greatest StarCraft 2 player ever, and obviously with the World Championships and Maru looking ridiculously good, if Maru can actually take that tournament home, I wouldn't be surprised if that title will shift, and a lot of people will start calling Maru the GOAT instead, but obviously Serral will definitely have a chance as well. His Terran versus Zerg, or I guess from his perspective, his Zerg versus Terran is phenomenal, and he's already showing that off right here by going for a spawning pool first, that most of the time is a sign of confidence. Anyways, we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. Let's introduce the opponent, because playing here with the blue Terran SCVs, we have one of the best Terran players from South Korea, and his name is Dream. Alrighty, so I just pulled up the stats really quickly, just because I keep saying, hey, Serral's really good in this matchup, and like, you know, player X is really good in this matchup. I just pulled up the stats, just so you can, you know, decide for yourself. So, over the last 365 days, Serral has played a fair amount of tournament games. In tournament maps, he has won 119, and he lost 52, in Zerg versus Terran specifically. That comes down to a map win rate of 69%, which is, you know, very nice, right? Anyways, as far as games go, so as far as matches go, because most of the tournament matches are best of 3s or best of 5s, he is at a win rate of 79.6%, which is ridiculously impressive. Honestly, getting 80% win rate, or very close to 80% win rate, is incredibly, incredibly difficult. Obviously, that does mean that he loses from time to time, but I do feel like Dream is gonna have an uphill battle here. So just to compare that, Dream has played 210 games of Terran versus Zerg over the last 365 days, and he has won 105 of them. So exactly 50% win rate right there in maps. Dream does catch the tail end right there of those Zerglings. Nicely done. Serral not really going for the optimal path, but it's kind of what happens when you go for that... that pool first. You need to run the Zerglings in the right path in order to actually dodge the Reaper. I guess only 2 Zerglings there ended up dying, and Dream right now is going to be forced to go back home because he doesn't know where those Zerglings are. Anyways, as far as tournament matches go, Dream has won 37 and lost 32. So he's got roughly 54% win rate overall, which is still very good. That's actually what obviously the average is, right? Getting 50% win rate in tournament games would be the average, and I guess the 80% that Serral has is just a sign of how good some of the very best players in this game are. Anyways, does that mean that Dream has absolutely no chance? Definitely not. Dream actually, in my opinion, a little bit underrated almost. So there's a bunch of really good Terran players obviously in South Korea, right? So players like Maru comes to mind, or a player like Maru comes to mind. Bjorn, obviously. We have Cure, who won the most recent GSL Code S. There's Gumiho, there's Bunny. Dream is definitely around that level. I think Dream is probably right around the same level as like a Bunny or a Gumiho, or, you know, players along those lines. And yeah, they're ridiculously good, and they can definitely catch a player like Serral off guard. But like I said, I do feel like it's going to be an uphill battle right here for Dream, but I'm sure he's familiar with that, or he's well aware of that, so I'm sure he could pull off some tricks in this particular series as well. All right, so let's see. Dream in general, by the way, doesn't really play tricks. He definitely likes to be aggressive, though, so wouldn't be surprised if he decides to try and hit his opponent in the face with a couple of Hellions here and there. So, going for the spawning pool first just kind of means you don't want to die to stupid stuff. However, against a standard opener, like the one that Dream is going for in this game so far, you are ever so slightly behind as a Zerg, right? So it's not the optimal play. It's just that if you are confident in your play, and you know you're going to probably win if the game goes the distance, it makes sense if you try to be as safe as possible, just so, you know, you don't die to anything dumb early on, and you can probably catch up as the game progresses. So right now, getting a full scout inside of the main base as well. All right, there was a little bit of a fake out right there by Dream. He decided to go for a production right there in the starport while the Overlord was still alive, even though it was already a supply block. I was going to say, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. He decides to now cancel and go for a reactor instead. So this is going to force out a couple of Spore Crawlers, I'm pretty sure, right here for the finisher. At least they should. Maybe Serral, though, has already read into it, and he's like, you know what? I think that was a fake, which could definitely be the case. Okay, Creep Tumor right there goes down. Looks like the Overlord right here will go down as well. Transfusion by one of the queens. Just barely getting enough energy. Serral actually decides to not go for any spore crawlers. I would be a little bit concerned for a Liberator to come in right now, but apparently Serral, feeling comfortable, goes for the lair right here instead. Now, this is triple Rex as a follow-up, actually, so hold up. No, it's 4 more barracks. So, whew. This is going to be what seems to be a 2-base all-in. So, I guess we're going to go for the combat shield upgrade. Are we even going to go for that one? Yeah, we are. I think Dream probably wants to just make a ton of units and go for it. Normally, we see a 3rd command center started by like 4:30 or so at the absolute latest. There's finally a bunch of spores, by the way, coming up. I guess Serral at this point is like, well, maybe it's a battle cruiser as a follow-up. I do need some spores against that. Serral already, though, had a ton of economy here. As long as he makes enough units in time, he should be okay. So he scouts the front right now. This is normally where the command center is at. Either that or the command center is loaded on the, or landed rather on the low ground. At this point, Serral scouts that there's nothing there to be seen. He needs to be very careful. Starts up double Evo chamber right now. I don't know if I like it too much, because right now we see a ton of marine production. I'm not exactly sure. Like, as a Zerg player, you're always wondering, right? Like, what exactly is the opponent going for? Because if you're the defensive player, which is exactly what Serral is right here, I almost feel like he should have actually let that 4th drone right there, or that 4th base start up. Just because that's a lot of minerals down the drain that aren't going to be all too effective here for another little while. If you're going to go for a 2-base all-in, I almost feel like you should have allowed that. Anyway, Serral at this point knows nothing. He started making some units. He's going for a 1-1. He's going for a 4th base. I think this is a pretty significant misread. Yeah, Serral now even going around the map. 2-base all-ins in Terran versus Zerg are very uncommon. So the fact that Dream is pulling this off in the first game of a series, I mean, this is an old-school build. It can definitely work out. Serral doesn't really have a whole lot of anything. Yeah, he desperately starts up some units right now. Zerglings are scouting around, so at this point he knows, okay, there's no 3rd command center anywhere because he checked the entire map. If he makes enough units, he's gonna be okay. However, at this point, it's 60 workers right here for Zerg versus 74 army supply right here for Dream. So, as long as Dream micros well here, this should be doable. Now, once Bailing Speed finishes up Centrifugal Hooks, which is about 90% of the way done, this becomes far more easy for the Zerg player. A lot of Zerglings right here setting themselves up for a run-by as well. Here's the reinforcements, though. I guess not a run-by, actually a surround. Oh my god, good targeting right here by Dream. Dream actually gets all of them. And that was not what Serral wanted to do there. Probably hoping to get a little lucky there. I mean, that's the situation you are forcing yourself in. Anyways, at this point, Bailing Speed is done. There are a lot of queens. Obviously, there's been a lot of time right here for the Zerg player to also continue production. Just a good old 2-base all-in. I kind of love it. Look at this army supply count right now at the bottom of the screen. 91 versus 65. That's huge. Serral's gonna need a good hit right here with the Bailings. He's gonna try and collapse on top of this army. Obviously, this is an engagement off creep. Beautiful target firing right there by Dream with the siege tanks on the Bailings. And there it is. GG is called in game number 1. Alrighty. Not necessarily a quote-unquote trick right there from Dream, but definitely a build order we don't see regularly. It's the Terran versus Zerg build I recommend you play if you are relatively new to the game. Just a good old 2-base all-in. Just try and hit a killer timing attack and, yeah, try to catch your opponent off guard. It's one of those strategies that works really well if you're going up against a weaker opponent, right? So if you do it against me, there's a good chance I will die to it. However, against someone of the caliber of Serral, it really shouldn't work. Because let's try and put 1-on-1 together, right? So Serral scouted the main base. He saw that it was a standard 1-1-1. So he saw that it was a standard barracks into a factory, into a starport, and not a very quick 3rd command center. So at that point, he should know when the 3rd command center of the opponent should land. So he scouted the front, didn't see the 3rd CC. He probably made the assumption that it was in the main base. And then he didn't check the 3rd base location for quite a while. All the while, he was making the assumption that one was constructing, so he decided to just drone up, go into 1-1 upgrades, go for a late lair, go into a 4th base, and then all of a sudden, Dream knocked on his front door with a ton of units, and yeah, nicely done right there by the Korean Taren. Anyways, we find ourselves on Hardwire. Recently, I feel like all the games on Hardwire that I've seen, they've been Terran MECH. I know that Maru has been very fond of playing MECH on this map. I actually covered that a couple of days ago in a previous YouTube video. I know that Big Gabe, so Hero Marine, has been playing some MECH as well. Dream in general definitely does play similarly to the style that Maru likes to go for. Maybe a little bit more aggressively, but wouldn't be surprised at all if he decides to pull out a little bit of MECH right here on Hardwire as well, because statistically, this map has been pretty bad for Terran players overall. Let me actually pull it up, though. So a few weeks ago, I had a look at the statistics while I was casting a game as well. And we found out that apparently Terran players versus Zerg have like 40% win rate at the professional level. Okay, so the win-loss ratio has changed a little bit right now. So now Terrans are at 41.3% when it comes to their win-loss ratio on this map. So it has gone up, considering it only was a little bit of time. And actually, once again, Serral going pool first. Considering it's only been a little bit of time since that, since that last time I checked. I think it's only been like a week or two. Terrans must be winning quite a bit more then, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is primarily because of Terran MECH. Anyways, we'll see. Obviously, you can definitely play bio on a map like this as well, but I am convinced that this is Serral's map pick. I'm pretty sure of it anyways. So this time around, look, much greedier build right here from Dream, going into the third command center before adding on the starboard. So this is one of the standard builds that Terran players like to go for, and then the alternative to this one is going for the barracks, into the factory, into the starport, and then a third base at like the front or inside of the main base by like 4.5 minutes or so. So that's what Serral expected in game number 1, and clearly that isn't what happened. Anyways, Zerglings right now did manage to run into the base. Reaper decided to be adventurous and still go across. Okay, these SCVs are trying to seek a safe haven right here. They're like, Reaper man, save us. Use your jetpack and your guns. Yeah, it's not going to happen. These Zerglings are not going to be able to get any kills, but at the very least, Serral has managed to defend at home pretty comfortably. Getting the third base up and running, uncontested, but losing a couple of Zerglings right there in the process. Still sneaking the majority of them away, so not a bad start right here whatsoever. All right. Ooh, look! Third gas! Very quickly. Generally speaking, we only see third gases this quickly from Terran players if they go for battlecruisers. And guess where battlecruisers usually lead in the current meta? I would like to be right. Bailing Nest coming up right here for Serral. A lot of Zerg players recently have been opting to go for the Roach Warren, it seems. At least in a bunch of the games that I've seen a lot of Roach Warrens rather than Bailing Nests. There it is. Look at that. Fusion Core coming up. All right. Overlord going in to the main base, at least trying to get some scouting info in. So Serral right there sees the timing of the starport, so that should give him enough info about what it is that the Terran player is going for, but he doesn't know what the follow-up is going to be. So judging by the fact right now that we see 2 tech labs here, I think it is going to be indeed that good old follow-up with a battlecruiser. I like it. For a while there, battlecruisers, I mean, you guys know my love for battlecruisers, right? I've always liked them. But for a while there, we didn't really see them anymore. For some time, when they first got buffed, we saw them almost every single game, and then Zerg players got very good at defending them. Now we see like a more nuanced edition of that build, where Terrans still sneak out that Viking here. So this is not like a battlecruiser rush. If you rush it out, you can get it out at like 5 minutes or so, 5 minutes and 10 seconds on the other side of the map. This is a more laid back approach to that. So with a third command center, with a Viking first, this is one of those I'm feeling pretty comfortable having that unit around for a little bit longer type of builds. And that's kind of what we've seen historically in StarCraft 2 in general. When a unit first gets buffed, players start to rush it out as quickly as possible, and then usually the opponents get too good at defending it after some time, and then the unit kind of just disappears for some time. And then eventually, someone figures out, wait a second. Yo, look, there it is. Double factory as a follow-up. But anyways, at some point, usually we do see players then slowly mixing it into their unit comp once again. All right, now is Serral anticipating this, though? Because this is a relatively recent thing in this matchup. He's got plenty of queens, that's for sure. He's got a Spore Crawler as well. I think these games were probably played about 2 weeks ago or so at this point. I'm not exactly sure what the date was. Maybe it's less than that. Anyways, what I'm getting at is like Maru has been playing this for like maybe 3-4 weeks right now. So it's definitely something that Serral should have been familiar with by now. Okay, here we go. Battlecruiser goes into the main base. But it's not something he has a whole lot of practice against, I don't think, because pretty much all the European Terran players who actually... Hold that thought! Oh my god, the Hellions are going into the third base! Serral actually sending all of his units to the main. Okay, well, that's where the real damage is done. Nice moves right there from Dream, putting Serral very far behind. And these Hellions, yeah, they're not done yet. 14 drones have already gone down. Battlecruiser looks like it will be able to stay alive as well. Second BC on the back of this too. Transfusions on the drones right here from the Queens. Maybe a little excessive, but that was really well done right there by Dream. catching someone like Serral off guard. This is when you've made Serral angry, though. If you've ever seen Serral play in tournaments where they have cameras, like face cameras, that is, of the players, this is when you can see the emotion on Serral's face. Most of the StarCraft players are very stoic in the sense that they don't really show anything. Serral gets visibly angry. He has this face where he, like, looks like he's about to kill someone. At least that's what I imagine, okay? Like, it's a scary-looking face. He turns into a full-on Sith Lord. So he's gone for 10 Mutas right now. Alright, so Mutas right here, I guess, to kill the battlecruisers. It is going to be a second BC as well. Yamato Cannon is done, though. I think you need to go home. Yes, sir. Nicely done. Double Armory as a follow-up. Now, will Dream be able to secure a 4th base and a 5th base, then, as well as Maru did? So we actually see a 4th and a 5th factory here very quickly. So once again, it looks like Dream is ready to get aggressive here. 3rd battlecruiser coming up as well. I think this is a perfect situation for Terran MECH, though. So this BC, yeah, that's the second one. It should still have the jump available. Hellions, once again, trying to go on over towards the 3rd base. This time around, they're getting lucky. Or they're trying to get lucky, rather, but the Zerg player is the one that cleans that up. Easy peasy. Nicely done right there by Serral. Okay, he needs to deal some sort of damage. 5 workers is a good start. Yeah, that's going to be 7, 8. Not bad whatsoever. Where's the battlecruiser? That's the only mobile anti-air right now that Dream has. Good Widowmine hit over here. SCVs have to hang out right next to the missile turret for now, but second BC comes home as well. Yeah, as long as they have tactical jump on cooldown, or sorry, off cooldown, they can always use it. There's a Yamato Cannon. Pew! What do you think of my sound effect? Which one was better, the game's sound effect or mine? Anyhow, Serral, even though he did a lot of damage just now, still don't really like the situation for him all too much. The problem is, Mutas aren't really a unit that can fight this Terran army head-on. I mean, once you have enough of them, you can kind of do it, but they're very much so an harassment tool. So you kind of need to, like, leverage them into, like, a better unit composition that can actually fight the Terran army straight up. Thors are coming up right now as well for Dream, which makes a lot of sense. If Dream can, like, max out and go across the map, that is, I think, his best bet. So, judging by the fact that there's no 4th command center, I think that's exactly what he decides to do here. He's got a bunch of Widow Mines building as well. I really like that, actually. So, Widow Mines and Thors. It does mean that there's not going to be a whole lot of siege tanks available, and not that many Hellions and Hellbats either, but we do have the Blue Flame upgrade, so the Infernal Pre-Igniter. That makes those Hellions and Hellbats a little bit more powerful. Serral goes Swarm Host? Really? Did he re-hotkey the unit? I have not seen Swarm Hosts in... Well, I mean, I see them from time to time, but, like, they are incredibly uncommon. And I don't think I've seen Serral play Swarm Hosts in maybe even a year? I don't know. You guys probably know better than me. If you go back into my my video archive, you can probably find out when Serral last played Swarm Hosts. Okay, so wait, we're going Mutaling Bane Swarm Host. Yeah, Serral's angry. He doesn't want to go down 2-0. Oof, good Widowmine hit over there. He doesn't want to go down 2-0 against Dream. Here's the thing, though. Like, Mutas aren't really a unit that can fight the Terran army head-on, and neither are Swarm Hosts, right? So Swarm Host, in case you're unfamiliar, I mean, there might be some people that don't even know the unit. It's a unit that's extremely good when it has Locust available. So it can spawn Locust every once in a while, and while the Locusts are out, they're incredibly scary. However, it's a long cooldown, and while that ability is on cooldown, the Swarm Host is super vulnerable. Swarm Hosts are also incredibly supply heavy, so while Serral right now is maxed out, he doesn't really have that big of an army. So I think if Dream can get across the map, he can just straight up win this. Now, Dream was already going for Thors as well as Widow Mines, which I think are very good against this sort of army, so I'm not exactly sure if I like the idea all too much. This first volley right here of Locust, getting quite a bit of damage done, though. Still getting a Thorn. Didn't really like it initially, but that is better than I thought. Battlecruisers going towards the other side of the map. Yeah, so that's exactly why Serral's being aggressive, right? He really, really, really wants to make sure that he can keep this Terran player at home. If Terran goes across the map, I think it becomes a disaster very quickly. Okay, nicely done. Tactical jumps all the way back home. Swarm Host right now. Once again, well, half or so of the Swarm Host right there used their Locust. This one also not really getting that much done. We haven't seen the drilling claws upgrade just yet. The siege tank does end up going down. I would like to see the drilling upgrades, or drilling claws upgrades for the amount of widow mines we have. It's only 6. Felt like he had more, but I guess some of them may have got... Yeah, 6 of them already killed. Okay. This is a strange unit comp, though. Like, Serral's army composition here is very vulnerable. It's very flimsy. Everything has, like, 5 health. Half of it is always on cooldown. And while Zerglings and Banelings have strength in numbers, there's not going to be that many of them because of the swarm hosts. Alright, yeah, so Dream going across the map. I like this idea a lot. He just finished up +2. He is going into 3-3 upgrades as well. Banelings right there, not really getting that much work in. He should be able to reinforce this pretty easily. So Serral has got 12 swarm hosts right now. He's going to go up to 18. Roachwarren right now is a follow-up. I guess that explains why Serral decided to go +1 missile here first. But I like this move right here for Dream. Go across the map, yeah. Not that much anti-air in this army. There are 22 mutas here, which is quite a bit. Thors, okay, getting some good javelin missiles in. Battle cruisers right here on the left side of the map. Queens should be able to intercept those. God, can you please scan and get rid of some of that creep? It makes me scary. Or it makes me scared, rather. Okay, a few of the queens there do you get Yamato. Okay, here we go. Swarm hosts decide to use the Locust from a couple of different angles. And actually, so far, the Lynx and the Banes have cleaned up most of the Hellions and Hellbats. Right now, apparently, the battle cruisers decide to jump into this battle. Are there enough mutas to clean this up? Thor right there gets targeted down right there brilliantly by the Zerg player. Battlecruiser number 1. Yeah, it's on cooldown right now. He decided to use it offensively. That's usually not the best move. Battlecruiser number 2 looks like it will go down as well. And Serral, somehow, some way, managed to clean up that army. He's probably not entirely sure how that worked out for him either, but he did. That was actually such an important engagement right there. Because right now, Serral can start putting under pressure. Terran mech is the scariest when it's maxed out. The Lings and the Banes cleaning up the Hellions and Hellbats and a couple of Cyclones there before the Swarm Host Locust came in. And then I guess the Battlecruisers, yeah, teleporting in was not the smartest move. They were pretty close by as well. Alright, well that was a couple of really good Javelin missiles though by the Thors. So that was pretty decent. Still though, is Serral out of the woods at this point? Not really. He's got 5 bases up and running, which is nice and all. He's got a hive right here going into the adrenal glands upgrade, okay? He's going into some additional upgrades here in general as well. Problem is, well, problem for Serral anyways. Taren still has a lot of economy. Widowmine still no drilling claws, so that siege tank will go down. And these traits are becoming very efficient. For the Zerg, that is. Okay. Here's another Locust Wave, man. And this is where those units become extremely, extremely good. Serral hunting down the siege tanks. Yep. Siege tank number 1 will go down. A Thor may be getting picked off as well. Maybe even another one. Okay, magic boxing right now with the mutas. It's a technique to make sure that the mutas stay spread out. So the splash damage right here of the Thors is mostly negated. Still maybe a little bit overly ambitious. Serral does end up losing quite a few of the mutalisks. Yeah, I think Dream just needs to re-max out once again. He finished 3-3 in the meantime. So that's good. He obviously also lost the battle cruisers, which were soaking up quite a bit of supply, so that's pretty good as well. Securing a 5th base is so hard though, right? And like, if you compare this to the way that Maru played Terran mech, on Hardwire as well, just a couple days ago. Look it back in the archives, or I'll go ahead and post like a link to it down below in the description of this video. But if you compare it, what is this? 2 siege tanks going down? Anyways, it seemed to me like Maru was securing a 5th base, no problemo at all. It's very impressive. It's so hard right now, because Dream is struggling. The problem is, right, sure, he can defend one of these bases, and that's fine. But the Swarmos can reposition themselves and send one wave of Locusts at this newly acquired planetary, and then all of a sudden, it's GG. Swarm hosts are going to be joined right now with a Nidus network. I like it. That's how they were usually used back in the day. This is one of the weirdest unit compositions I've ever seen, though, from the Zerg. I feel like this is one of those things where Serral really felt like he was extremely far behind, and he had to do something. It's because of that Hellion run-by, right, from earlier. Right now, Dream is trying to get lucky. Really? 3 missile turrets he decides to engage? Bit greedy. Nidus Worm in the bottom right-hand corner. At the same time, Taren is going for what seems to be an engagement on the other side of the map. Corrosive Bowels right now connecting with so many of those siege tanks. So this is before the Locusts arrive. Mutas, in the meantime, are cleaning up whatever pops out of that production main of the Terran. Okay. Here's another Thor getting magic boxed as well. Serral right now starting to replace those Mutas with Roaches and Ravagers instead. Shouldn't have angered him, Dream. Rookie mistake, dude. Confidence is a real thing, by the way, in a match of StarCraft. Even though it may sound weird, being confident in your play, it changes the way you maneuver your units around and the fights you actually take. I know it's apparently the case with Jaedong, who's like one of the very best StarCraft 1 players ever. Definitely the most successful Zerg player in StarCraft 1. And apparently what he did at the beginning of every single tournament match that he played, or I guess he's back right now, right? Anyways, apparently what he does is chant to himself, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill him, over and over and over again. Which is absolutely horrifying, but apparently very effective if you look at his total tournament earnings. Anyways. I guess that's the way that all the top-level StarCraft players play, though, right? Like, you can't... If you start doubting yourself, you lose for sure. Still, I don't really like this unit comp here for Serral at all, man. It's such a weird unit comp, but... Hellions, once again, moving on the right side of the map. Zergling over here, apparently charged with killing that supply depot, and it managed to succeed with doing so. The Hellions just buying a little bit of time, but at this point, Dream's bank is going down. There's the Locust wave on the planetary fortress. Okay. That was close. Here we go. Dream. This one feels way more desperate, right? Dream going across the map once again. He doesn't have nearly as much army as he did earlier, though. Still 104 army supply, so it's definitely not to be underestimated. But Serral is just keeping him back with Swarm Hosts, Roaches, Ravagers, and some Muta flybys here and there. Does he actually still have Mutas? Only 2. So I guess he's not really keeping them back very much anymore at this stage, but... Yeah. So while Swarm Hosts are one of the most underused units in all of StarCraft 2, I actually really like their position. Oh my god, well that is what Serral was looking for, huh? Getting so much value right here. I think we're just about to go to game number 3. Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a sec. Alright, so... Considering there's no proxies going down just yet, I think we are safe to talk about Swarm Host for just a little bit. So, Swarm Hosts, I think, right now, in the current meta of StarCraft 2, are a little bit underpowered. However, I like it that way. So here's the thing about Swarm Host. If you've been watching StarCraft 2 for, well, like 5+ years, you may remember an era where Swarm Hosts were incredibly popular. So they've gone through many iterations, and once upon a time it was just a unit you would burrow, and then occasionally it would spawn Locust all by itself, and the Locust would just sort of like walk on the floor. So they wouldn't fly, they would walk. So like it's a completely different unit now. Anyways, back then it was one of those units, since it had free unit design, that would create stalemates. So I remember this one game, it was like a 3-hour-long game. I think it was Mana versus Firecake is what I want to say, where essentially we had one player like spawning free units all the time in Swarm Hosts, and then the other player having a bunch of Colossi killing all of the Locusts before they really could get any damage done. So the Zerg player couldn't really move forward, and the Protoss player couldn't really move out, because as soon as the Colossi would move, they would get killed. What ended up happening is that, yeah, we just had a stalemate, and it created this really boring type of game. Kind of like late game Zerg versus Protoss right now, but then like 5 times more boring, right? So I'm a little bit concerned if Blizzard were to ever buff the Swarm Host, that we are gonna go back to that meta. And right now, I kind of like where it's at. I mean, it's used every once in a while in very niche scenarios, like for example against Terran MECH. So if Terran MECH becomes more popular, that's, you know, definitely a chance for the Swarm Host to find a little bit of use once again. I guess it's one of the few units. Yeah, let me put it like this. I think the Swarm Host is one of the few units for Zerg that has comeback potential. It doesn't really need any upgrades. It doesn't really come into the game super late either. But if you're ever behind, there's always a chance that Swarm Host can bring you back into the game. And I kind of like that role that they fulfill right now. So even though I think it's probably overall the weakest Zerg unit, other than maybe the Ultralisk, I sincerely hope Blizzard doesn't buff it. Does that line of thought make any sense? I don't know. Anyways, Dream apparently playing a little bit safely here. He's gone up against a Zerg player who likes to go for a pull first. So he's decided to not get too ambitious right here with the Reaper. Just scouting his side of the map, checking the watchtower in the middle, making sure he does not have any Zerglings on his side. Overlord right now, beeping on the Reaper. Sees exactly where it's located, so Serral right now knows that he can start being a little bit more adventurous with units if he really wants to. Either way, what do we have right here on Pride of Alteris? Standard 111 right here from Dream. Going into the tech lab right there on the on the barracks as well. Judging by its positioning, it's not going to be switching over with the starport, although obviously it can. Reaper right now has gone across. 2 Hellions though, just about to pop out. This is right around the same time as the Zergling decides to run into the base and... it saw something. I think it saw something. Yeah, not much. Not much of anything. If Serral would have seen the tech lab right there, that would have been nice. Not gonna happen. Instead, he decides to go for the Overlord speed upgrade. This almost feels a little bit disrespectful from the way that Serral's playing. Going for pull first all the time because he knows he's better in the late game or in the mid to late game, and he now also goes for the OV speed upgrade. He really does not want to die to Dream. He really, really does not want to lose to someone as pathetic as Dream. I mean, Dream is only like, what, top 15 or so in the game? Imagine that. Dream is incredibly good. Such a strong Terran player. Anyways. Here we go. Link speed is not done yet because of that very quick Overlord speed upgrade. And I feel like I've seen this before. Yeah. So even though Serral right now gets a full scout of the Terran's main base... you know what? That was actually pretty... that was not really that good at all. That should have gone way better for Dream. So we saw 2 drones going down, 5 Zerglings in total. One of them obviously ran up the ramp earlier. So 4 links right there, 2 drones for 4 Hellions. And a Reaper too. That should have gone way better right there for our Terran player. He probably was hoping for that as well. Anyways, right now, yeah, there's a lot of Zerglings still available. No 3rd command center to block that ramp once again right here from Dream. He's decided to add on additional barracks instead, and this time around Serral has some leftover units. He's droning behind this, so this is by no means like a push. He's just attacking with whatever he still had after the Hellion pressure. Nice micro here, though, by Dream, all things considered. Not really losing anything. Very easy to accidentally lose stuff there, but okay. Is Dream really gonna go for the same build again? If he decides to add on more barracks from here... I mean, I feel like he kind of has to if his 3rd base is once again so late. He either needs to add on a 3rd base right now, or once again, I guess, go for an all-in. This time around, everything is a little out of sync, though, so the... Oh no, he's already got an NG Bay over there. That's the 2nd NG Bay, I was gonna say. If he doesn't have +1 coming up, that would be a bit of a disaster. There's another barracks, there's another barracks. Alright, I guess Dream is like, okay, in game number 1, it worked out for me like a charm. Let me try and see if I can do another 2 bays all in. At least that's what I think he's going for right now. Lara's just about to finish though, and Serral should be able to go straight into the Bailing speed upgrade, which is the pivotal upgrade that Zerg players need in order to defend those sorts of pushes, and there it is. Pivotal. That's a mooi word. Is it a mooi word? I almost started talking Dutch there. Mooi woord in Dutch means mooi woord. There you go. I can't even speak Dutch anymore. That means nice word or a pretty word. There you go. Accidental Dutch language lesson. Nice. High quality game. Very nice. Queens take the watchtower in the middle of the map. So there's 6 Marines pumped out here all at once. I mean, it's a lot of Marine production. But by the time that this push goes across the map, there's gonna be Bailing speed, right? +1 armor is gonna finish up in about, I don't know, 45 seconds or so. I don't like this. Look at the creep spread here as well for Serral. Serral at this point has been scouting around. Not dying to anything stupid once again is the main goal. Couple of stimp Marines here as well at the front. I mean, yeah. I guess he needs to get rid of these creep tumors, but obviously that gives the Terran player, or that rather gives the Zerg player a lot of time. +1 on armor is just about to finish up, so that's going to allow these Lings and Banes to live for a little bit longer, especially against siege tank shots, which is huge. Serral gonna go for a counterattack? I feel like just cleaning up this Terran's army is a great idea, man, but apparently he's like, you know what? No. A Bailing bust. This is a very complex Baneling bust with a little bit more nuance to it than what we normally see. Anyways, yeah, feel like the SCVs are gonna be in a little bit of trouble. So this is gonna force Dream into an all-in, right? He was already kind of forcing himself into an all-in. Right now, it's gonna get worse. So let's pay attention to this side of the map instead. 2 siege tanks in very good positions. Liberator over here as well, trying to get some work done. Queens just, yeah, transfusing each other. Serral's pumping out so much. If you can get a clean engagement over here, I think it's GG. Okay, here we go. Apparently this is the moment where the Zerg player is gonna, yeah, try and collapse on top of this army. Zerglings from the other side of the map also once again join in the fray. Siege tanks get cleaned up despite the position that they were in. And right now Dream is pretty much dead, right? I mean, he's got half the Zerg's economy. Mules are pretty good, but he doesn't have like a 3rd command center or anything along those lines. He can try and go for a follow-up push once again. But at this point, Serral should not really allow it to happen at all. If Serral wants to be super safe, he should just respread the creep and just sit there. Wait for the Terran player to engage once more, but Serral's pumping out way more army right here than the Terran player. Yeah, the wall has not been rebuilt, so I guess he can try and once again run into the natural expo right here of the Terran. I think he can go. Killing the army is probably the real killer move, though. Only 1 siege tank this time around. Links and Banes once again trying to connect. No target firing with the siege tank just yet. Okay, he does get it with the 2nd missile that the siege tank shoots, but I think at this point there's just way too much Zerg. And there it is. GG. Serral ends up winning this series, but especially in game number 2, that was extremely dicey. When that maxed out Terran mech army first moved across the map, Serral somehow, some way managed to clean up that force. Dream was incredibly close to winning the series 2-0.